Hey, y'all, this is Jay Allen, and I'm with McMahon on keys.
I try to make sure that people don't slack off when they think the gig doesn't matter, when they think it might be small, when, there's probably not anybody here.
Right.
And part of your story is there only has to be one person in the room to change your perspective.
That's right, man. I'm so glad you said that. I say that to my guys, my band, before we get on stage, we always pray. I'm like, whether it's a million people or one person, play for that one.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, so who was that one person for you?
Yeah, so I mean, it started with my mother. You know, she was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's and was very, very sick. And I wrote this song about it. Really out of heartbreak, called Blank Stares. And I was signed to William Morris at the time, so they were sending us out with every big artist you can think of and playing for big crowds. And I would always share that story at the end of our set.
Right.
And I felt like I was kind of just talking until I was blue in the face. I thought, what better way to teach people than to show them? So we brought Mom on stage. She was diagnosed at age 51, took her life in 2 years and 9 months.
Right.
So right in the middle of that, she was 52 or something, and she looked like she was 80.
Yeah.
So I thought, let's bring her on stage. So
I'm still trying to understand, sitting next to you, holding your hand and hoping you won't fade away this time.
brought her on stage, opening up for like Jake Owen or something like that, and everyone just went quiet and listened. I told the story, sang the song, and I wrote that song for her. You know, I was her only son, her oldest child, and it was heartbreaking. If you know anything about dementia or Alzheimer's, it's the sixth leading cause of death in America, and it took her so fast. So I thought, man, she would do anything for me if that was me, if the roles were reversed. So, I went to war for her and for Alzheimer's, and now I've seen just the connectivity of sharing the things that you go through in life and utilizing your gifts to share those things. It creates a safe place for people, you know. And so now, I always know there's going to be at least one person in the crowd or listening to this interview that needs to hear what we have to say. You know, so we've created that safe place for people. We've helped raise over $100 million to fight against Alzheimer's. I have zero intentions of stopping.
Well, I know that those moments that you shared with your mom are pivotal. Yep. And I saw another one that you shared with her where you were kind of commenting on the power of music and how the music can break through some of that dimension. The one where I think you were at the Sutler. Was that where you were?
That was my mom. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we it was the first time she came to Nashville, and it was the first time I saw her sick.
Right.
You know, so you have this image of your mother or anyone that loves your parent, especially how they look at you. You know, that's like a look that I'll miss, that how a mother looks at you. But she came to our home in Nashville, and she walked through the door and looked at me like I was a stranger. You know, looked right through me. So we took her out to the Sutler. If you're in Nashville, you know the Sutler.
Oh yeah.
So my buddy, actually, Eric Heatherly, was playing on stage with his band.
Love Eric.
Yeah,
have not seen Eric in forever.
He was wearing like a periwinkle suit.
No doubt.
Black hair. And
probably had a 55 Cadillac sitting out front something.
Just a stylish dude, classy. Yeah. So opened up the door and I saw him on stage and I was like, yes. But my mom, who had dementia, was very sick. She had a glossy look in her eye. She was gone, you know. She saw the band, heard the music, and that all went away. She got that sparkle back in her eye. She wanted to go inside, start dancing. So that's what we did. Took her to the front of the venue, in front of the stage, and started slow dancing to a fast song. I just felt her take this deep breath, and she just leans in and she goes, "Oh, Jay, I've missed you. It's so good to be here." I was like, holy shoot, music did that, man.
Right.
The music and the band and the environment infiltrated her in her weakest moment in her sickness. And so I wrote that song, Blank Stares, and I've just continued doing that, you know. You never know, a person hears that one song. I could be the Eric Heatherly for someone that walks in.
Sure.
You know, so we treat every moment like that. You know, every time I'm on a stage, every time I'm doing an interview, it's that, you know.
Well, and that's one of the things about music. It's so easy to get really lofty about it, you know, and everybody's making their songs, trying to have an impact.
Yep.
And it's such a gift for you to have a real example of when that song mattered.
Yep.
You know, I know that as a player, I played on a track, Live Like You Were Dying, which is one of those songs for a lot of people.
Huge.
But it was years after I recorded that song when I was on a phone call. Are you familiar with Clubhouse at all? It's an online app where people would have like conference calls. It was very popular when things got quiet. and we couldn't see anybody.
Yeah.
And I played part of that song in a room of people I didn't know, and a woman got real quiet and started talking to me and told me about how she was in a car accident, and she listened to that song over and over and over on the way to the thing and to the hospital. And that one story for you, lets you know that there's another one out there.
Right.
The one story with your mom becomes the one story with the gentleman that helped you record the song. Mm-hmm. And then you also have the one story about when you were thinking about leaving and one person said, "Why don't you not?"
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, Billy Currington.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's fun. Music is like a bridge the gap,
Yeah.
And, as low as the lows are, the highs are even higher, more beautiful,
Yeah.
And a high moment for me was, I came to Nashville 11 years ago. I'm sure that seems like nothing for you. For me, it's like immediately.
That was a nice way of saying, I'm sure I'm so much younger than you.
No, I mean, yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I've been here forever. I'm like, no, there's people that have been here a lot longer than me, gone through a lot more than me.
Good.
I came here and started a band and immediately got offered a record deal. It fell apart. The band broke up. So I learned real quick that the Easter Bunny doesn't exist, Santa Claus doesn't exist type thing. And I was going to play one last show and go back home with my tail between my legs. And we played at 3rd and Lindsley, and there was 12 people at the bar with their backs turned to us, didn't watch it all. I was like, okay, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Walked off stage, grabbed my guitar, and Billy Currington happened to be sitting along the edge with his girlfriend having a drink, came around and said, "Jay, just watched your whole set." He said, "I have a piece of advice for you. Just never leave." He said, "Last man standing wins."
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't leave. Then I got a pub deal, another pub deal, management deal, and now we have a record deal, and The Voice happened, and the thing with my mom, and I'm so glad I stayed around. So it's just like, even when the lows are really low, the dark moments are really dark, like I always have that in the back of my mind.
Right.
Last man standing wins. Just go another day, another step, keep going.
Right.
So, yeah.
We have, I don't know if you're familiar with the Marvel movies, the Avengers, but Jeremy Renner, who plays Hawkeye, was in a really bad accident about a year ago.
Yeah.
And he talks about the trials of that and how it's like, you know what? I'm not going to have a day as bad as that. Every day in the future is going to be better than some of those experiences as long as I keep going.
That's right.
So we'll talk about, your experience at The Voice. I'm curious as to how you wound up there, because so many people, they do those shows thinking this is going to get me on the radar.
Right.
You, in a lot of ways, were already on the radar. Now, I'm sure part of that, I assume, but listening to you talk, that part of that was it'll increase visibility to my platform.
Right. That's exactly what.
Is that all it was, or was there also a musical interest, kind of furthering your other music as well? What was going on there?
Yeah, no, it ended up being both. So I would share that. I say this vocally, and I'm friends with the producers of The Voice now, but they call me, the casting agency involved called me 4 years in a row, and I politely declined. It wasn't for me, or the timing wasn't right. Just it kind of seemed for me, it was like gimmicky and pretty selfish, and like that's just I didn't have a purpose. I think I got to a point finally when they called me, and I thought, now I have a reason. I've taken this as far as I can on my own, sharing this story relentlessly, going to war against Alzeimer's. We've made a lot of headway. We have treatments that the FDA has approved now. What better way to shine more, a bigger light on that than to go on The Voice?
Right. So
that was kind of my plea with them. If I do this, let me share the story, let me sing the song. They're like, Jay, that's why we want to have you on. So they surprised me, and John Legend asked me to sing that song for my mom, Blank Stares, during the blind audition.
Right.
And after that, I was done. That was my sole desire. But I kept going farther, and it turned into a record deal because of it. I really got to, God created an opportunity for me to hit the refresh button on what I'm doing with music, and also for me to gain a little confidence in myself. For me to, I can fight for myself. I can do this artist thing. There's a lot of people out there doing it. For me, I think I never really knew for sure if I was capable of it. And after that, I was like, you know what, I can do this. And I'm going to. So I'm very, very thankful I did it, and a lot of good has come.
Well, and if people can combat some of the things that you're fighting for, this is less combat than that.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, okay. So you do The Voice. And I haven't heard you say this, but I've heard you make references. I would say that you have a lot of the people that I think have been the most successful off those shows are the people that haven't won. I feel like the real artists, the people that really have a sense of their own artistry, a lot of times the audiences don't understand what they've got going.
Right.
And I would count Daughtry as one of those.
Oh yeah, he's
right?
a friend of mine. Yeah.
And you reference him. You reference him a lot, kind of as a model for what you would hope to do with your music, or.
Yeah, you know, he's a rock star.
Yeah.
You know, but also he is a man of character. You know, and he's human. You know, and I think a lot of people, when they have success, I've seen them lose themselves. And I think if I would have had a lot of success at a younger age, that would have been me. You know, but I look up to guys like that, and I keep in conversation with guys like that because how do I maintain that? And kind of, I feel like God's been stiff-arming me until now. I feel like it's just starting to kind of make sense because of that. Because I want to maintain a sense of character like those guys. And you know, he shares even like his faith, you know, like losing his daughter. And like those are human moments that we need to share. And those are even more important than our music or our voices, you know, just being a human. When you have a platform, how can you utilize what you've gone through to help others? So, yeah.
So explain what, I'm trying to figure out what this would feel like in the moment. When you aspire with your music, when you describe your music as a mix of Blake Shelton and Daughtry.
Yeah.
How do you then choose Gwen as your coach with Blake Shelton sitting right there?
Yeah, Gwen's hot, man. Yeah. Well, going into it, like I kind of knew the situation I was going to be thrown into, and it's a show too. So I knew I was going to play into it and have fun with them, and like I have a married couple, 2 A-list celebrities. You know, I'm going to choose Gwen, and that's going to create hype for the show and be fun. And I already knew later on I'd go back to Blake. It's just kind of a fun little game.
Yeah.
You know, also, my wife, Kylie Morgan, she was like, you got to choose Gwen.
Sure.
Come on.
Sure.
She's a babe. I'm like, do I get a hall pass? But no, yeah, it was fun to meet them and see them working behind the camera.
Yeah.
Also, they surprised me, and they came to my last show of the year last year. So Blake called our team, and he grew up in a little town in Oklahoma, which is where Kylie's from close by, Tishomingo, Oklahoma.
Okay.
So his first Old Red is there. So he said, I'd like to have you come play the Old Red there. And I was like, oh, sure. Well, then I realized I was playing in Albuquerque, New Mexico the night before, so we had to drive through the night to get there. But him and Gwen came and surprised us and showed up and introduced us on stage. So I got to also see them like stripped down, like Gwen, no makeup, wearing a hoodie. Blake with a big old grown-out beard, wearing his camo, and I love them even more like that, you know. So it's really cool to, you know, hang out with people that are, you know, a lot of people look up to them and respect them. I now know personally that I do because I got to see them behind the scenes and actually how they treat people. So
With all that being said, you've also got a new single.
Yeah.
So that's been out a month. How long is
that? Are we talking about the cover song? Oh, so we have we have a couple things going on. So we're doing the country radio thing now. We took a song to country radio called No President Like the Time. Right. Which I wrote. I had the idea when I was on The Voice, so we're doing the country radio thing and learning a lot about that, man. Making a lot of friends.
Now, are you doing major market, Music Row? What are you doing?
All of it.
All of it. Wow. Good.
Yep. All the terrestrial stations, the syndicated stations. And
so are you considering that your single, or are you considering Sticks your single?
No Present Like the Time is the single at country radio right now. Yeah, Stick Season is just a cover song that we released. Okay. So, yeah, which is like the biggest song on the planet right now. And so we basically did a Three Doors Down version of Stick Season. So,
well, and it's so hard to kind of follow, because different people mean different things when they say, I'm releasing a single.
Right.
That might mean you're going to Spotify. That might mean you're going full bore with radio. Right. So I'm glad to see you're doing that.
Yeah, we're all in with country radio right now. Also, we're in the studio making a record. I've never created a record the right way. Like when I told Stacy, my manager, I've never actually been in a legit studio with a legit producer and A-list player. She was shocked. Okay. So we're in the middle of making a record right now with Matt McClure. He's produced guys like Lee Bryce.
Yeah. So now, when you say a record, are you talking about an album?
Yeah, a full-length album.
A full collection?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So doing that
and
in the middle of it.
Are we theming and putting together the album?
Yep. So like what you said, like, you know, I talk about like, you know, country guys like Blake Shelton mixed with Daughtry. It's like late 90s, early 2000s alt rock mixed with, you know, the, you know, progressive today's country radio sound. Yeah. You know, with some, you know, a mix of a lot of heart. You know, I was also a music director for 10 years before I moved to Nashville. So there's some, you know, emotional, you know, songs in there as well. So
Sure.
yeah, right in the middle of it, man. So touring into the studio to here. So it's been awesome. Been a blast.
Well, it's, I know, or I think I know, I would offer that the grind of that tour and the all nights to the next show, at some points it's hard. At some point it's a little easier when you know why you're doing it.
Right.
You know, and you've got a big why, which I appreciate. I know that sometimes you still want to be able to do things that aren't all about that.
Right.
But it's good to know that you've got a reason for being out there.
Yeah.
Well, when's the album supposed to drop? Do you know?
So the goal is to, you know, drop a single maybe in a month, and then like late spring, early summer, drop a record. Also, like, I don't want to put a timeline on it. You know, I want to just be proud of it. I want to do it the right way. So I'm putting Matt to work.
Yeah.
Yep. Lots of notes, back and forth conversations, and I just want something that I'm really, really proud of. So even if it's a year from now, I don't care. I just want it to be right. So.
Well, I want you to be proud of what you're doing. I know you're already proud of why you're doing it.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you making time for us.
Thanks for making time for me.
I would love to come to a show. I don't know exactly what a wedding waiver is, but if I have to sign one so I don't have to leave with a J. Allen tattoo, I'm willing to do that. I'm not sure what that would look like. Did you hear this story? Tell him the story. I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, us getting tattoos at our wedding.
Yeah. Well, more importantly, the waiver.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about receiving the waiver.
Yeah, so, yeah, it was funny, man. People, when they arrived to our wedding in Fort Myers, they had to sign a waiver because we had so Kylie let me have a say in our wedding, which I thought was, like, pretty rare. I'm like, oh, God, I love this girl so much. So first of all, I was like, can we have an all-black wedding? She's like, cool, that'd be cool. I said, well, also, can we have a tattoo artist? She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, let them tattoo our guests at the reception and tattoo us. She goes, okay. So people are going to get drunk at your wedding and then get drunk tattoos, so we had to have them sign waivers so we don't get sued. Which I'm so glad we did that, because the pictures we saw the next day,
oh,
like, what did we do?
God.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Kylie and I got one till death right here.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, she got actually a big one on her arm right here. I couldn't believe it, so it's my wife, man.
Well, she married the right guy.
Yeah,
these
tattoos aren't going anywhere.
Yeah. Man, thank you so much for being first hog to the trough with us.
Let's go.
I appreciate
congrats on the new podcast. I know it's going to be very successful.
Thank you. You know, you're making new stuff. I'm trying to make new stuff.
Let's go.
Years later. So
we have the coolest looking booth so far. I've been
we just got started. You don't have anything to compare to. Wow. Tell everybody how to find your stuff, how to follow your album, find out where you're at. Tell them all the things.
Yeah. Yo, my name is Jay Allen. You can follow me atjallenofficial.com for tour dates and all upcoming new music, and Jay Allen Music on all socials. Appreciate y'all.
Man, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you so much. For more clips from CRS, click the top button. And if you're interested in full episodes of the McMahon on Keys podcast, including live performances with our guests, click the bottom button. Until next time, this is McMahon on Keys.